What's going on, guys? Time for another YouTube recap. So today we had some pretty big over-under levels, and we're going to go over some of these on ES. Starting the green Fibonacci right here, 15 minutes. We are based on the 5-minute chart right here, but this is from the 15. And then, of course, the pink right here was a triple GP no tag. 1, 2, 3 5-minute candles right there, where no GPs were tagged. So let's take a peek at what we had on the force out today. Now, just for reminders, we did have a very far away long target still for ES still coming up. We have that in a couple different videos, and we will maintain having that in a couple of the videos. So what did we see? Well, on the 15-minute, and this is a current day, we have a really nice candle interaction with the 200 SMA, right? So back down here is that 15 to 1 a.m. Central. Might actually be different now that I'm on Eastern, but you get it right here on the 15. So when you see a Fibonacci cycle here on the 15, we want it to do one thing for us and cycle up and then down. So when this one pushed out, we hit the 1618, 2618, 3, 4, and then gave up a little bit back to the 100. This becomes a really big over under at the 1618 of 6376.81 because anything under the 2618 and speed breaking down under the triple five that we just did, so two overlapping fibs, will send us back down to test that 15-minute 100. Now we didn't get that. We got to push back up. Let's talk about a couple instances why. So we had the 5-minute pinks here, right? So if you go to that 5-minute chart, the pink Fibonacci is going to be the one that is pointed down, right? And this was the over under I gave the chat right here at the Discord. We needed speed to break through the 1618 to come down here to our targets, or it was going to magnet back up. And during open, as we came into the push here at open, we had a crazy, wick start. I went, no, it's going to be a full scam up, guys. We see the MACD swapping, we have the VIX shine. So we went to that side of things on the fresh scam up, no more shorts. So we did the fresh scam up, and let me show you why we had a really big opportunity to. So when we drop down into the 1 minute, now you're still looking right here at the pink 5-minute Fibonacci box, hit the 1618. That is a standard Fibonacci move. So when you box the fives, goes down to the 1618, travels back to the 100. Then if it holds the 1618, it goes to the GP. If it does not hold, it hits the 100 and goes down to the 2618, right? And that's very typical practice. But this guy had a little different jam, and that's this guy here you see in the red. That is a 1-minute gap at 708, 709, right? Nice big one. That big gap was right inside the pink 5-minute golden pockets. Now you can see that became a really strong magnet after we attempted under 1618 to come to some of our short targets we wanted down here as the over under moved to 6380 when we opened. So I said, well, if we start the trend right here, lower high, lower lows, and we stay under that 6380, great, we could take it down here. And then I wanted to go back long. If we were to pop back up, I wanted to look at a counter trend, right? So right again at the open, I said, no, we're going to scam up. We're going to go big time up. So we were above 6380, had this big wick down, and poof, she went, right? And we got caught in a hotel Wi-Fi crash today, and we ended up having limit orders up here, right, on the failure point. And I was looking just to grab a couple limits right here and then head back down for the potential short, and I wasn't able to set a stop range because the limits were limits. Well, lo and behold, we had stuff right here pop all the way up for some big runs, right? And we ended up having to watch and manage some of those because some of those shorts activated obviously at the open, everything else, no big deal. We had some big green profits back and forth, and then the crash happened, and then it just launched itself up. Well, no big deal because we went 15 plus points up on a few ES. Well, tech happens, crashes happen, instances like that happen. We fixed it later on the NQ, but right now we do have that to worry about for the force up, right? So what caused the force up? That's the key. So we wanted to see what this big force up happened to do here, where we had to mismanage a trade, come back all the way around, and make a big greenback on NQ for later. Well, let's take a peek at the SPY. So again, SPY was a very, very big indicator of long. We have the pre-market high-low fibbed out in the blue here, okay? So that light blue color right here, that pre-market high, pre-market low. Obviously, that was there before the algo. The algo right here on the wick is going to drag that pre-market low marker all the way down, but this is where the pre-market was before this algo was created. So this was the pre-market high, This was the pre-market low. So we have a golden pocket right here of the real pre-market high low, not the algo. And then you fib out the algo, right? And just for sake of visuals, we'll just turn this one orange for now for the algos. Now, we have this little note right here that we said best case long, because we're thinking definitely if it holds, we're going to guarantee 2618. Now that green Fibonacci is the last 15-minute candle of the day over here. We're on the 1 minute, so you can't really see it, but if we swap to the 15, that's the last 15 of the day for SPY. Now, interestingly enough, if you look here in that algo, this was a no tag GP, right? There was nothing on the golden pocket, ran all the way up, came down, and that algo we were just talking about here in the pre came down and slammed right to that GP. I don't necessarily consider those fills, but if we do stay under the GP, or I'm sorry, under the highs, we can come to the GP in the orange. And luckily enough, this algo based right into that last 15, and that's another reason why we got to put some notes down about that thing just ripping to that upside, right? So let's stretch this out. We have the golden pocket of pre in the blue, and then the top of the algo on the 5 minute. So let's get into that over under. Live tag, best case long exit was 2618 out of the gate. So if it opened up, which it did right here, anything above 63391 and above the pre-market golden pocket would be a long press up, right? So now we have an algo in the orange pointed to the upside. 1618 comes back down, zero interest in coming down at all, right? Shied the 100 EMA here in the green, no tags, just another big force up. Okay, well, we come over here to the orange. Again, let's slide it over to the algo, and these are the two that we had matched with. So the overlapping algo said, all right, so we had a blowout, and it just ran. Another loop in highs. No big deal. Fine, blowout. Now we have to watch for confirmations and keys to continue. So usually the pre-market, this one was pointed down. So what we're going to do is activate that, swap it for the extensions, and show you how clean the oh no, I moved that pre-market high low. It was right very close to this GP here for that lower. But you get it. We'll leave it with that. You can redo the top bottom on the old pre-market high low in a sec here. We can move back over. Let's fix this up. There we go. So that blue pre-market high low, orange algo, green 15. So you see a lot of the confluence points here obviously stack it up, right? We have the magnet for the 2618, 2618. So we channel those out like so. And then we had a really nice back test of the green 15s here, right? Live tag. So we broke out of the 2618 right here, ran 3618, almost hit the 423. We call that a shy, comes back down, holds the 2618 and the 100 area of the blue. So again, overlap, 15-minute green, pre-market high low 100, beautiful confluence. Comes back up, finally tags the 423. Comes back down, oh, you guessed it, holds just another support of the 15-minute green, rolls back up. So on this force up, we are saying right here is most likely going to be ending long target, right? Like so. So on the next kind of roll back up here, you're going to see that high push into the 423, hold to 3618. And then if it gets one more little spike back up, the orange algo from this morning is going to be the deciding factor of that run, right? And it should just kind of pin up because right now we still have that 1 minute target we talked about on the early part of the video. And we have that opportunity to see both of these 2618s tag. So if we extend this to the right, you're going to notice that that channel we made with the pre-market high-low and the algo give us this overlapping channel. And that's how I like to overlap those fibs. So that'll be most likely the final target watch on that long side. So those are all the plays that we made on the SPY. We'll touch on the NQ quick here because we did have a nice little roll back up. This is how we fixed the red today. So we had a huge blowout, right? And then I seen the loop coming for a magnet here. So let's take a peek. We have the 8:35 candle. This is the 5-minute open. Why is this important? Well, watch our Fibonacci master classes. We have 2 of them on the lives. They'll teach you exactly why these candles are important. So we got the high-low for very specific reasoning. And we'll move into, stretch this out, zoom in real quick here because I'm on the travel setup. So make sure we really dial it in. There we go. Much better. Let's delete this one. All right, so how we deleted the red from the hotel Wi-Fi crash. Well, we came up to this piece right here, 5-minute opening candle. She runs, goes to the 1618, 2618, and then shies the 10. And I was like, why is she shying the 10? It looks like it wants to do another push. My favorite scalp, even on force up moves, is when we find a decision candle like this to draw the fib, 1618, 2618, and if we hit the 3618 without backtesting any beforehand. That means if you draw this 5 and it goes to the 1618, does not come down because usually you want to see the 1618, 100 up, or even straight up to 2618, 100 up. Neither of those happened. We drew this fib and it shot directly to the 3618, which means this is a very good counter trend. So I looked to the right and I said, okay, 23,700 is a big psychological level coming up. These Fibonacci points take us right to 23,698. So I'm like, wow, if this holds the 2618 area, okay, because we are now talking about shorting the 3618 down to the 2618. That is the first tag metric, and it is best case scenario when the fib down here is drawn and then it blasts straight up without backtesting right to the 3618. That always has a great chance to come down to the 2618. Now that's where the over under was. So I seen 23,700 and I seen the 423 up here. And I'm like, okay, well, if it holds the 2618, we should have some. So I let it hit here, pulled back, and I started buying into the 23,640s and 50s support right here because we were shying this 10 SMA on the 5-minute. So we hit that 3618. We pulled back. We started buying. We took 5 NQ. Here into the 23,640s and 50s early range, and we ran it all the way up to the 23,699, resulting in a beautiful 46 points, thus fixing the Wi-Fi crash red of 2,500 and ending the day with $84 green. So we had a beautiful little run up right there, and that was the reason for the push. Now, if you look at the continuation, don't want you guys to pay attention to these fibbies here. That 5-minute open ran the full 423 without pulling back to anything at all, right? And volume weighted average price is usually my favorite over under we use if we can't get 100 EMA. That's in the purple here. The orange is a +2 deviation. The blue is a -2 deviation from that volume weighted average price. So when we drop from the 423.60 here, comes down under the 3618, what do we have? Well, generally speaking, nothing goes in a straight line. So we had a straight up move, comes down to VWAP, right? And we did have that Fibonacci here, 1618 coming in as a support too, but it looped the 2618, right? So generally speaking, pretty good downside. Now this forced right back up to that 423, relaxed for another higher low, and pushed back up. Well, that's perfectly fine as long as the trend is higher low, higher highs, and your oscillation indicators are cooking. You're perfectly fine to continue, as we just gave you those targets. But one of these metrics we like to follow is definitely fibs that have 423 without any backtest of the 2618. It goes up in levels. This one is a little bit more rare. So if you do see this force up after the 5, goes right to the 3618, pulls the 2618 into the 423, there's a good chance that when the 423 rejects, it comes back near the 2618 and even the 1618, and then the 1618 becomes support. But notice how it got bought back up early. Let's give you the last example here on that ES15, because that's exactly what this did today. So if we delete early 5-minute GP that we were talking about, this is another instance of that. Look here, very closely, same thing. 15 high low, shoots up, 1618, no pullback to the 100, right? Nothing. Goes right to the 1618, holds, 2618, holds the 1618, 3618, holds, 423. After that, best case scenario, 1618. And again, this is very common to hold above the 1618 when it has a full force out of all the fib levels. And then when it breaks to that downside, don't always expect it to come down to the 100 or the GP. This big 15 caught the 1618 only because of what the scenario looked like here to the 423.60. Okay, do some examples for yourself on that one as a fan. Fantastic. So that was the entire trade day on the travel. I think we got one more day left of this, and I will be back home. So enjoy. You guys want to watch me do this stuff live, narrate it. Links are in the description. If not, make sure you are subscribed, like, and leave a comment to be entered in our weekly drawings on the weekends for Cold Hard Cash. We'll see you guys at our long target posted on the cues and above. And check out the next video.